are some artworks that I've done in the past. As you can see, I've used all sorts of colors, all sorts of shapes. There are some rules to doing this, but there's also a lot of creativity in it. This art practice helped me a lot a few years back when I was in sort of a creative slump, a creative block. But this should work for any sort of mental dilemma that you have going on, okay? And I know that we all have different relationships with art. We may not be aware of or have access to the therapeutic benefits of art for whatever reason. Whether you have some sort of creative block like I did, or you just think that you aren't skilled enough. The wonderful thing about this art is that you do not need skill. All you need to do is have a piece of paper, some markers or a single marker, a pen, maybe even a pencil, and you just have to follow some simple rules. Okay? So how this goes is that you take your marker and you create a free form line. This line has to start at one end of the page and end at another. Or at least that's my interpretation, but as you saw in my previous pieces, I guess, I kind of did some formations here in the middle. It's up to you, but generally you start on one side, and for 15-30 seconds, however long you think, you create a freeform line intersecting itself and ending on the opposite side that you started, or really any of the sides. And as you make that freeform line, you will be making intersections, and in those intersections you will be softening the edges, much like a neural network, or kind of like a web. Okay, so I'm going to do an example in this black marker. I think these markers are perfect for this because they're very dark and very uniform in their stroke pattern. Okay, so let's get started. Let's begin. So, as you're creating this line and throughout this whole process, it's important that you think about something that's troubling you, some sort of event or situation that you're anxious about, or maybe even a goal that you're trying to achieve. Think about it as you create this line, okay? So I'm going to think about one. That is the first step. And as you can see, we have many intersections to work on. Okay? So now what we're going to a sort of bleed, so the intersections are very dark compared to the lines. So I'm going to make some little adjustments here. Just a stylistic choice to create a gradient. You don't have to do this, but I also think it's quite symbolic that these points of intersection, it's kind of reinforcing that connection it has to each of the intersecting lines. I really love how creative you can get with this. One idea I had, for example, if you are dealing with two different things, maybe you are weighing two different options like going to college or going straight into the workforce. You could make two formations in two different colors on the same page and see where your mind wants them to intersect. Maybe your preferred decision is in a darker color and your less preferred decision is in a lighter color, and just take notice of where they intersect and stuff. I don't know, I think that would be cool. But let's continue with this. I really like this color. I haven't really used it, so thought it would be nice. That's another thing that you could do. Maybe you can pick a color that you're not really comfortable with and explore something that you're not comfortable with in your life. Maybe something you're uncertain about. Again, I'm not an expert or a professional, but that's the wonderful thing about creating something, is that even if there's an algorithm to create a certain picture, once you insert your creativity, it becomes something entirely new. I've seen many examples of this type of art where people try to make out shapes in the form. Maybe they see a human face or a butterfly, and maybe that's their subconscious speaking to them in some way. Another way to tap into your subconscious mind, I think, would be to do this activity with your non-dominant hand. At least the first step, the freeform shape, I did think about doing that, but it completely escaped